Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar, and this is going to be a very special update to an HPS watch list that we're currently in the middle of the week for. It's actually Thursday going into the last day of the year trading. Last trading day of the year is tomorrow. So I want to get a big shout out. This is after a holiday session watch list that went out last week, and everything is on schedule. So I want to do an update on those setups and also stress the importance of paying attention to these HPS setups. I want you to understand how important it is to just continue to use the methodology the way it's set up, have the patience, have the discipline, and everything will fall into place and you will make money in this market. Anything you kind of deviate from the plan, you're going to get into trouble down the road. Believe me, I've been doing this a long time. And even today, watching the short-term moves on the ES here was a great example. And I was banging the table for this week watching the tradeometer. Tradeometer is a special indicator that we have at Day Trading Radio. And with this light volume and this real small action, it just pinpoints all the good levels. So that was really working out good today too, combined with the divergences. And again, you know the divergence trade is our go-to trade. So that is the important part of this. The stocks you're going to be seeing here are on the HPS watch list. We've had a great last month, last 2 months, last 3 months on the HPS watch list. We've only had one stop out, and it's ECL, and I'm still holding it because the stop out is kind of bogus. I want to show you the chart right now. I have a lot to talk to you about tonight, so I'm going to be jumping all over the place. So try to hold on and follow along the best as you can. First of all, like I said, our job every day, trade the markets, make some money. Every week a watch list goes out, which is this watch list I'm doing an update on, and it basically looks like it's a whole separate site. What we're going to do is I'm going to bring it over here for you and let you see it. You've seen it before, especially if you are a member, you know what it looks like. Here's the HPS watch list, and again, these are the stocks that get sent out every week on a video like you're hearing right now. We break down the stocks, we break down the charts, and each chart comes along with a buy trigger, a buy zone, a profit zone, and a stop. And these are all automated on the site, meaning that they're connected to your email and connected to your text. So when they do hit its profit target or entry zone or whatever trigger it hits, you instantaneously get an alert. So sometimes you don't even have to be in front of the computer to watch this. So I was just starting off with talking about the ECL, and you can actually go back here and these are updated real time. So the stocks are put into the platform. We have our targets and entry and our stops all defined for you, and we pretty much just take a look at each setup comes with its own chart. Click on the chart gets becomes a little bigger. And that really defines the setup. Now, what's interesting about using these charts, these are trading view charts. Now, I do have them in a pop-up window that they pop up. You could click on the upper right-hand corner and make it live and get a much bigger chart if you wanted to do that, or you could just look at it as it is. You can adjust. You could scroll around and stuff. So this was the setup here. It was based off a 2020 setup, and typically we saw this little consolidation breakdown. This was like the first pullback. And we're waiting for the stochastics to rotate back down into an oversold level, which we were just about there, but starting to turn back up. So the setup was 2020, and I put a pretty tight stop on there. I mean, there was a pretty tight stop. And I want to show you a different chart on this. And this one actually did come down to our stop. But whenever we hit a stop, we still want to manage the trade. So what happened is we actually popped, hit our buy trigger, started moving up towards our trigger, and then failed. 3 big candles came out. I don't know if it was sector news or what was going on. It just came down. It just tagged our stop. The next day, it actually put in a reversal candle and pushed back up. Now, if you look at the stock today, and I'm going to show it to you right now, it is one of the best-looking setups of the week going forward. So we are still in it. I'm still in it. I think, it just was a 1, 2, 3 pattern that's really starting to form out now. So here was our bounce. We're looking for maybe a breakout, but it got rejected there. And now it pulled back down here. Now we got a little bounce. And it does look like a much better flag here. And now we're oversold here. And this stock has performed well technically. So it does look really good here. It looks prime time. So it is active on my, I'm in it. And I don't have much in it. I only have 50 shares. But when we spread that out over all the HPS setups that I'm typically getting into because they've been working so great, you get, you want to have all these setups working for you, and you're expecting, again, the rotation, the methodology, requires you to get out on a reasonable, pop. You're not overstaying your welcome. You're not giving anything back. We know how to, determine that, and know how to read that and measure potential moves. And the automatic stop. So this is all part of the HPS. So we're going to be updating that. We're actually updating it right now. And going into Friday, tomorrow, last day of the trading year, we might get some window dressing. We might get some window dressing. We might be surprised and get a big rally tomorrow. I know a couple of the members of the site, some active traders, are looking maybe for a pullback. And I see that too. I see why everyone's looking for a pullback in this market, and it's hard to deny that. We have this kind of a daily overextended. We started pulling back. The 60 also started to get a little extended here. Tough area right now. So I have not taken any hedge on the overall market direction. I'm still holding my longs, other than a couple of shorts in the stock. But the no index trade right now, other than trading these things on a 1 minute time frame. And now, again, that was also something I wanted to share with you today. We just crushed it on the last couple of days, just pointing out the best areas to trade. Now, this was on yesterday, and at the end of the day, let me see if I can actually, excuse me. At the end of the day, we had this low. It was about 345, and then we had a bounce and a lower low, but really good divergence here. Meaning it's called a double bottom divergence, a very clean one. And we saw it on the 9.3 to 14.3. A very clean divergence like this is key. And this was kind of a channel line. So you had a little underlying channel. Some of the things you like to go along with the divergence is, channel, because you're always measuring that breakout of that channel. And that was basically the setup right there. A very nice setup. And you can see that was probably one of the better zones of the day. Now today, and then the market closed, and you can see the overnight trade. And we kind of drifted higher. The market opened up. We gapped up right away, and that was actually a divergence. So the first, right out of the gate, we had a divergence. Let me see if we could zoom this out a little, give you a better look at it. But a hard one to gamble on because it happened so fast. But you can see the pop here, the this lower high. It was just it happened so fast, and a big reversal. Not really even worried about that one. But what we did see is this great one. This was a very nice divergence. And it was a 3 minute divergence, and it came in right after 10 o'clock. It was a really nice one. We got that trade. It popped. And then it turned into a sell divergence here. Look at that little sell divergence. It was something, maybe it was a 1 minute, maybe it was on the 1 minute time frame. It probably was, because at the time we're watching these things real time, so you might not see it there. I might have to see it in the 1 minute. Things are always moving about. Well, all these dots, they're driving me crazy. All right, well, we're going to jump over here. Here it was right here. So maybe it was that 60, or let's see here. It was the 60-10 divergence. It was a 1 minute divergence here. It was kind of a steep one, but I did notice it here. That little pop. Pointed it out. It did move back down. Market here chopped around. And the whole point of this is there's certain good times to trade everything. There's a good time to trade stocks. There's a good time to trade futures. It's the proper timing of the charts are going to lead us to more explosive moves, and we know how to identify those. The weak link of this whole thing is the patience to wait for it to come to you. That really is. The money is there to be had as long as you wait for those good setups. Learn them. Have patience. It'll come. The market here is full of greed. So, and greed is, of course, one of the 7 deadly sins. So, it will kill you in the long run. It will. it'll eventually catch you. And you just have to treat this as a business. It's the best advice I could. That way you kind of force yourself into a mindset where you're not worried about missing out on a big move. You're coming to work. You have a business plan, and you're just applying it, and you're going home. It sounds boring, right? But it's not, because you start getting getting addicted to the good stuff. You don't get addicted to the bad stuff. You get addicted to the good stuff, and you start to look forward to it the next time, and you realize you might as well wait for it because there's nothing better out there. So you end up, developing that confidence and that type of, patience. That comes in time. I might be going on a tangent here, but that's what we talked about on the futures today. It was a good futures learning experience, just on a flat day. But you can still see good moves, and those same moves, like I said, are the ones we're looking for in stocks. All right, so let's continue on. So just to finish up on the ECL, expect this to be, break this back. I could actually turn this back on and use that 135 as a buy trigger again. Continue to use as a buy trigger. Just reset it. I might do that. Reset the whole thing and use that buy trigger, because I do feel like we're just about ready to break out of this flag, and it'll bring us right up. And that looks like about this right angle that we want to be at. So that's probably not a bad idea. So we'll activate that one again. Then again, we're just going to go down the line here real fast. Just do an update. The COO is active. It says watching, meaning it hasn't triggered yet. And this is probably a buy zone. I mean, whenever we're buying down into a trend line, there is always the possibility of a breakdown. Now, we have the stochastics on our favor, so we know it's probably going to happen. But just in case we put a buy, we want to have one more thing in our favor, and that is buying on strength. And that would be a break of the previous day high. So that's why we put the buy trigger of just one tick above the previous day high. Want to really get that momentum here, starting to bounce off of that trend line, give us momentum into the trade versus trying to catch a bottom where we could actually move down a little bit lower. And that's the way I approach this one. Either way, it still looks pretty good. As you can see, we're holding that. We already started getting the bounce off of it. We started moving up. Today we're chopping around sideways. It hasn't hit its trigger. It probably will hit its trigger tomorrow, the next day, and we'll make our. This is also what we call a 20 EMA breakdown channel line bounce trade. Textbook. If you've been with Day Trader Radio for a long time, this is one of our core playbook setups. Very, very easy trade. Whenever you have the 200 period moving average coming through a recognizable downward channel, you're usually seeing that 200 fail, the market come down to the trend line underneath and then bounce right back up. Now we kind of did this at the beginning here, so it's a little bit more, it's a little different. It would be great to see this first tag here and then a bounce right back up. Here we wonder what happened here. I'm not really concerned about it too much. I still like the the deviation and everything else setting up here. So this one looks pretty good. That's this COO. But I'm waiting for the trigger on that one. Now, I haven't been following up with Harley-Davidson. I know a couple of the members are in this one. I keep on getting asked about it, but I haven't taken it. And I was actually liking this on the watch list as one of our best setups. It just looked good. So this is what the setup looked like. I'm not in this one. It was just based off of a little consolidation breakout, first flag, holding the 20 period moving average, again a nice rotation down. So it was our 2020 type of trade. And I haven't checked up on it, so I don't know where we are on this. So here we are. It broke higher, chopped around, continues to chop around. We're above the buy trigger, but just consolidating. Still looking for a profit zone above us. So the flag is breaking out to the upside. And let me just take a look at the other chart. Kind of help me out with the Harley J HOG. All right, that's the hourly actually. All right, let's see here. So here's that underlying trend line too, which is, I think, important. I don't think I had that on the other chart. So that's actually a key area, this trend line. This rising trend line and a new channel breakout, basically. So we have starting a new channel, and this is the lower part of that channel. So we're looking at this definitely as a bounce. It's also came back to a support level. So kind of an X marks the spot, plus the 200 period moving average. That's on the daily. I haven't checked the weekly here, kind of getting extended. But I'd like to, like I said, this is type of an HPS setup here. It has multiple indicators lining up. All we need to do is now get a pop on this. But no position on that one for myself. Alright, here's another example of what we've been seeing in the market are these channel breakdowns and the trend line. Here's an example of that trend line type of trade. We're looking for that first pullback, first rotation. Again, the standard, what we call a playbook play. And these can be found in your dashboard, in your members' dashboard. Up on the top, you'll see a link saying playbook plays. And these are the setups that we typically look for in the market. So just remember there's always a little library there of good information. And then from that point on, we had a nice move. Now, this is today's candle. So I always go back and review these just because I have a lot of technical levels already defined on the chart. So it's easier for me to go back and just update it, see where it is. And lots of times we'll see pull back to that trend line again, and we might want to get back in it. Right now, I'm not worried about that one. I'm not looking at it too much. It's the end of the year, Now, Budweiser, same thing. Kind of a good setup. Had a little pop, and then today was a little weakness in it. This was a little bit more difficult of a trade because it was off the trend line, and I wanted to buy this again. Here's we want to buy in strength on this. So we get a big gap up. We push back up. We get very close to our target, and then we kind of pull back, and we're right back to square one, right back to our buy trigger zone. So we're still inside the channel, which is pretty intense, and didn't get our breakout yet. Could actually move down a little bit more. This one might. We'll take a look at a different look at it, because we were in the tap also, and the tap worked out fine for us. But you can see what happened. It looks like we had that breakout, a little retracement. Well, what I like here, and I mentioned this today during the show, is that stochastics held on here. This is a daily. Didn't really turn over. So I'd say that underlying strength is still there. I think lack of volume today probably just kind of dragged this one down a little. We started bouncing at the end of the day. So I think tomorrow will probably get right back on track. 60-minute looks okay. I like it. I like it going into tomorrow. We'll watch it. It continues to be active. I am long 50 shares of this. Right at this level, 111.33. Not much on that either. So, and happy to do this update. Again, this is a slow week. Slow week. ALK, Alaska Airlines. I don't even know if I show it. Let's show you some of the ones that are still active. Let's take a look at that Darden Restaurants, because we're still in a restaurant stock, and I actually don't know if it's on the HPS, but I want to update you on it. So here was the Darden Restaurants. This was a flag setup, a very strong flag setup, big reversal candle. We got in this one here with a buy trigger, or at least 86.50, but we said there was a possibility of a pullback there, so we had 2 alerts on this. It just took off and it just crushed it to the upside. It was a nice flag breakout. And look at how we just busted out. This was news on the earnings too. So whenever you're holding to earnings, you get a big reaction on things. Alright, TAP is still active, but I did take profits on this because it did move up to our trend line. And I got some new setups here coming your way. So here was a buy trigger, pretty tight stop, but you can see here, just worked out good, popped, and we got very close to the early target. So I took it off at the early target at that trend line. So we took it, 79 to 81, 71 and change to 81 and change, 79 and change, 81 and change. Then it pulled back a little, made a perfect textbook flag, and then took off, and it's continued to look pretty good. That's a stock that's still active. If you're still in it, you'll still get the alerts when it hit its profit zone or stop zone. So it's still looking good. And again, and this one, oh yes, the QSR, it is here. It's on the HPS. I love this one going into tomorrow. Here's one that I am, just banging the table on. We went positive on it today on our position. I'm in 61, 64, 62, and 92 now, right? Yeah. Average 61, 64. What's the price here? 62.92. Was that true? All right. Well, anyway, watch what happened here. Came right down to our zone, chopped around, never hit the stop or anything. Tried to pop out once, tried to pop out twice. Now we closed on some pretty decent at the highs of the section, but you can look at the stock a little bit better on this chart, and you'll see some better indications of the direction. QSR, right? Restaurant brands. So what I'm looking at here is this little line, and we're going to call this a multiple bottom level, but we're getting a nice turn back up on the stochastic. So it's almost a double bottom divergence. You can see it downward. This is what I like. So I think tomorrow we get our pop, if we get any volume in this market being the last day of the year and stuff, but maybe we do get the pop here. Either way, it seems to have held through the storm, and now we got that crossover, and that's just telling me that's a better chance of moving up and out of this pattern. The big pattern, of course. Look at that. Why not? Perfect flag. So this is also one of the best bets going into the end of the week, which is tomorrow, and into next year. Speaking about next year, as I go to the next stock, tomorrow's watch list is going to be a focus list. It's going to be our best top 10 stocks for 2018. And any new HPS setups. But as the market is kind of stale here, we're not getting. I'm pretty much doing a preview of the HPSs tomorrow because these are still very active, and actually some of these QSR would be an HPS right now. It's a double bottom divergence. So this is actually a setup. This is a setup I would put on this week's watch list, and it is on the watch list. I got some other stuff for you though. Excuse me. That is up there, QSR, one of the best bets for tomorrow. Go to the other chart, please. And they'll get alerted to that. We did tab QSR. All right, so you can see we can scroll all the way down, all the way back down to here. When I had an Aflac short, that was the last one I got stopped out. But you can see a nice run here, and we're going to continue that run. The COO. So here's some new stocks for going into. There's some new ones here that I want to discuss going into this week and into next week. Cisco Corp. I have a position in Cisco now. This is based off that 2020 trade. Stock holding above the 20-period moving average. Stochastics here rotated down. Starting to get a little bounce. It's working. What could I say? We're up nice on it. I'm at 60.85 off of that little low level. It's 61 and change. We get a pop on it tomorrow. We're going to watch this rotate back up. Great looking flag. It's just basically a flag setup. But very good strength off of that 20. So that is currently active. Let's see what else. QSR, we did that ECL. VRNS. Let's do this one. Here's another kind of couple. Looked like it was put in a multiple bottom here. Very similar to the one we just talked about. Maybe call it double bottom divergence. It's starting to turn back up, but oh boy, it is not really performing too much. It is not a best bet yet. It just hasn't moved. It's still tight in this consolidation. If anything, it could actually turn over here a little. That is probably the first one to go if we don't like it how it looks tomorrow. Now, some new ones you're going to probably run into right now. CVS. I want to talk about CVS for a second. CVS, I didn't chart it out too much. This is a downward channel, broke out, first rotation back, a pop, and then a kind of a pullback. We have an underlying trend line starting to take place here. It's starting to hold up here. you know how that goes like that. This is starting to rotate back down. But, you know, we came out of this nice consolidation, and we finally flushed it, and we came back, tested it, pulled back, tested it again. You know, I have a feeling we're going to end up breaking back into this. This has been a long road down. It's been for a couple years now. We could probably put this out here like this as a big... So going on 2 years of kind of downside, and this last little flush might have just flushed the whole thing, and we've been building back up. So I do like this one going to the upside. Not officially on the watch list. I wrote it down and wanted to pass it on to you. I think that's a good swing trade from this point on. You know, using this trend line as a kind of a stop. MDLZ. This is another kind of a long basing pattern that kind of broke down. Then we probably put a big divergence in there on the weekly, and we've been just grinding higher. Too boring right now, so scratch that. DLR. What do I have now? Digital Realty Trust. This is almost a textbook wedge pattern. Textbook wedge pattern looks good. Problem is, you're right up against a little resistance now with that trend line. I just don't see myself tackling this one yet. I would rather tackle it down here on one more rotation. I don't think I'm probably not even going to follow it, but that might be something you might be interested in. We did the SYY, right? Yeah, we did the SYY. We did that. ECG, AVB, Avalon Bay, another realty REIT, residential REIT. This is another 1, 2, 3 pattern. 1, 2, 3. You know, you could actually trade the lower trend line again on a divergence if we actually got down there fast. It's starting to set up, and that's why we wanted to just kind of put it in our radar. So if this starts to move back down quickly and we get this kind of divergence, we want to be all over this. These are the type of stocks that work good with divergences. They work well with channels. So you get a channel divergence set up, you're good to go on this. You know, it's actually kind of a decent setup down back here, but that's what I'd be looking for. Put it on the radar. I wrote it down so we wouldn't forget about it. What is this one? Oh, YUMC. Just getting oversold. Hanging tough with the 20-period moving average. I think this is going higher too. Big, long consolidation. I mean, it's Yum Brands in China. How do you not make money? Here's Yum Brands here. Yum Brands USA restaurant brands. The 20-period moving average is there. It's almost like a divergence. It is actually a divergence. God, those two are really nice. I like the Yum C a little bit better, though. I just keep on thinking, the old saying of a billion Chinese people, but it's probably more like 2 billion, right? Alexa, how many people are in China?
The population of China is about 1,340,000,000.
Oh, so, all right. 1.5 billion, we'll call it. All right, so that's that, and a couple other ones. So that's the update going into tomorrow. There will be another watch list tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to be focused on some great stocks going into 2018. It will be a members-only watch list. It will be back on schedule with the HPS watch list, but a special New Year's Eve edition of some of the best stocks going into 2018, and how they're set up, and of course any HPS setups also that need to be added, which would probably, I think this Yum brand is going to end up on the list, and we'll see what happens more towards the end of the day tomorrow, how things are lined up. All right, so that's about it. I will catch you guys maybe tonight if you happen to watch this. I want to try to get a show going around 8 o'clock when I'm talking about cryptocurrencies and doing some trading, some charting, and just hanging out together. So if you're around, it is Thursday evening, about 8:30, probably till about 10. We'll be doing a show. So Catch you then.